Mr. Payne?
Here.
Mr. Carlton?
Here.
Ms. Patterson?
Here.
If we can, we'll stand and have a moment of silence, and then I would like to ask Lauren Patterson to lead our pledge. Lauren?
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item, we have employee recognition and student recognition. I'll turn that over to Dr. Simcox.
And I'm going to ask Dr. Long and Ms. Wills to come up here with me. First, we want to recognize our virtual teachers who dedicated this whole school year to our virtual students. They have done a phenomenal job, and we do appreciate everything they've done. So we would like to honor them, so you'll know who they were. And I'll let Angie give you some votes and see. You can tell them what grade.
In kindergarten, we have Miss Angela Mainsworth. She's with us. First grade, we had Miss Philippi. In second grade, we had Mindy Dunn, and I don't think that Mindy was able to be here tonight. In third grade, we had Miss Tammy Eggleston, and Tammy already had vacation planned, so she wasn't able to be here. In fourth grade, we had Amber Griever, who was also on vacation. They deserve their vacations. In fifth grade, we had Lisa Centel, and I don't think Lisa was able to be here either. And then in sixth grade, we have Tabitha Farrow.
I only have a couple. One of them was unable to be here. I just want to say a brief word about mine. In the 7th and 8th grade. Now in the high school, we had to do things a little bit differently, so they're not on here, but they carried a heavy load, some of them too, where the kids were virtual. But this lady, she taught 2 subjects in 2 different grade levels. So she taught 7th and 8th grade math and English, 7th and 8th grade math and English. So, which that's a pretty heavy burden to bear. And she did it really well. And Eunice Johnson.
I'd just like to say thank you to all of you for what you did. That was a tough year. Hopefully we don't repeat it.
Yeah.
We did want to honor our 6th and 8th grade students who took the pre-ACT. We honored those students who were a third year above in the ACT last month. And we wanted to do that with our 6th and 8th graders because they took the pre-ACT to get them prepared. And I know we probably don't have many here. I think we maybe just have one. But we would like to honor and recognize them. So for our 6th graders,
We have 2 students at Doe Elementary, and I don't think either of them were able to come. We had Jason Simcox and Gavin Kerr at Mount City Elementary, and I hope that I've said your name correctly. Cassidy Bistek. Bistek. Okay. So Cassidy,
having a 21 as a 6th grader.
Wow.
I think she actually retired, wasn't Mr.
24.
24.
So you'll be in our 30-plus club in a few years.
Yeah. Super proud of you. And then at Rose Creek Elementary, we had Tyler Hicks, and he wasn't able to be.
I didn't know you could take the ACT in 6th grade.
It's neat.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't
Thank you for coming.
have any of our 8th graders here, but I would like, since we are streaming
Yeah.
live, for Dr. Long to
We
announce
want
their
to recognize
names.
them. We've got a pretty impressive list. So, would you show it? You didn't show it.
I just remember what hers was,
Yeah, yeah.
because it was so good.
We actually had 30.
Wow.
That's great.
in
Wow.
8th grade, 28, 27. So I'm just going to read these all. Ariana Spencer, Cameron Crowder, Cole Smith, Jackson Clifton, Danielle Duggar, James Kelly, Alan Lynn, Desiree Robinson, Sydney Prater, Emma Savory, Stephen Dunn, Cadence Litford, Charles Norris, Alexandria Russin, Marley Townsend, Gabriella Lowe, Haley Rourke, Emily Ward, and Emiliana Zaldivar. That's a pretty impressive group. We're very proud of them.
Yeah.
All right. Next item is recognition of visitors or delegation. If anybody wanted to approach the board, if they would, fill out a slip and provide it to us. And this is permission for to use the American Legion, for the American Legion baseball to use the Johnson County High School baseball field. And Dr. Long, I think you're represented.
If no one from.
They're right. He's right here.
Okay.
That's okay. Steve Long, nice to meet you.
Sure. Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Oh, no problem.
All right, Mr. Holt.
You can just kind of.
Yeah, go, yeah, just
Okay.
present it to the board.
My name's Travis Holt, and we're doing it's called the American Legion Baseball. It's a summer league, and it's really put on for Elizabeth, and they play most of the games there at T.A. Duggar. And we've had a team probably the past 5-6 years. Of course, we weren't able to do it last year because of COVID. I've never actually coached, but my older son has played in the league before, and my younger son's playing in the league this year. We have about 16 or 17 young men that are playing with us this year. We've already started. Like I say, most of the games are played at T.A. Duggar, but we basically just asking permission if we could to be able to practice at the high school field and possibly host some games there also. I'll spill beans. We already practiced a couple times and hosted the game. Did clear it with Coach Paducas before we did that. Didn't even know we needed to come before the school board, and I apologize for
That's
that.
all right.
We haven't been back up there since, as far as that goes. And that's basically, the season only runs through about the end of June through the 1st of July, something like that.
Okay.
And I did provide Dr. Simcox with some insurance forms for the field that the league provided to us.
So everything's clear?
Coach P's good?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Coach P's good, we're good.
All right.
Yep. All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Travis.
All right, there aren't any others. Let's look at the consent agenda. If you would, if you need to pull anything off of that, let us know. Otherwise, we'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, all right. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. All right, and the reason I gave her the pledge, because it's her last night as our student board member.
Yeah.
Lauren has done a fantastic job this year,
Thank you.
and she's got one more report to go. And I did want to point out, we have Braden Gentry here, who's going to be our junior representative, and our board member next year is Maddie Peak, and she wasn't able to be here tonight, but Lauren, it's all yours.
All right, it's really short because it's June, so or honestly, like there's not lots to talk about. But first of all, congratulations to the class of 2021. It's been a hard year, but thanks to our school board and our amazing staff and teachers, we were able to have as much of a senior year, and to all the other grades as well, because I know a lot of the schools were virtual, and it's difficult having that, but
because our schools have been so great and accommodating. We're all very thankful. So on behalf of the student board, I would like to say thank you. We had a tennis double compete in states. Though they didn't win, they were like that close, like literally like that close. I think they did, but but I don't know if my opinion matters that much. But whatever. The new Hvac robotics game has been announced. It's called Tipping Point. I would explain it, but it's robotics, and it's very hard to explain when you try to. Other than that, a lot of it's just preparing for the next school year. A lot of classes are being, it'll be going the order of schedules, seniors, juniors, sophomore, freshmen, and then from there you'll be able to edit your schedule, and that's essentially it.
Okay, good job.
Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you being here all year, and we appreciate, what you've done for us and the information you brought to us.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Next item on the agenda, 5-year plan update.
Yes, one of the items in the 5-year plan is our summer PD training and teacher academies will be posted on our website, and they are, and we have those trainings occurring now.
Okay.
Just an update on that.
Next item is to approve the customer agreement, a subscription, a 3-year contract from 8/2/21 to 8/1/24 for $99,360 out of the ESSER 3 funds with Nusela Incorporated for 7 blended learning district suites.
I'm going to turn that one over to Angie.
And she can explain what that is.
She can explain that one.
So, this is a program that our teachers, we have been using the free version for a while, and we have had a lot of requests from teachers to utilize the paid version. So, this year they actually let us pilot the paid version, and we had a really good response. I think Dr. Long would echo that as far as his new alumni teachers, and we've had a lot of teachers just pretty much begging, can we please keep this? So, we will actually pay for this. This will be out of ESSER 3. We won't sign the contract until we get that all approved. But in order for us to move forward, they won't need us to pay anything. We just need to send them something that we plan to purchase the program in the fall for teachers to utilize. But so I'm not sure that needs to say out of ESSER 3. It might need to say out of GP for now, and then we would reimburse GP with ESSER 3. That's what we're hoping to do. But it's an ELA program, but it supports science and social studies content. The good thing about it is you can take any kind of article that you're, something with your teaching. Let's say you're doing something on the solar system. And you may have kids in your classroom that are all at all different levels. You can take that exact same article, and it's the same content, but you can put it like on a 3rd grade level, a 5th grade level, and an 8th grade level. And you can print that same article, for the kids to do an activity based on where they are academically. So the teachers just really love it. And the reason we brought it before you, we would like to go ahead and do a 3-year contract, pay for it out of ESSER so that we won't have to pay for that out of other funds for a while.
Kids don't know.
No, they don't.
The other kid decides that maybe has a 3rd grade level article, and they've got the students don't know that.
Because the picture, the title of the article, everything like that is the same.
That's pretty amazing, and you could use that in the blended classes?
Sure. We can use it for lots of things.
Okay.
We need to decrease one of those schools there, that Shady Valley there.
That's the name of that's the name of the.
Right here.
No, at the bottom of the contract, it's got all the schools listed, and Shady Valley is on
Elementary
it.
School.
Oh.
It is, but it's just because that still listed, for some reason, it's listed in the state database still, and there's nothing we can do about it. Like, it populates on E-plan still, and they, even though that they know that that's still applies, like, for whatever reason, it still populates, but there's no, we'll make sure that there's no students, after that.
They won't charge on that.
No, no.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this contract or subscription?
I make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Reese. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Payne's made a second. Any further discussion? All right, we'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. The next item is the first reading of TSBA recommended changes on the following policies. The first one is on personal and professional leave, and the second one is student wellness.
Yes.
Dr. Simcox.
If you remember, we just voted on the personal and professional leave, but when we sent it to TSBA, they sent back and said we needed to add statement E, which is just saying if personnel leave is requested for days scheduled for PD or in-service training, then that isn't a required in-service day. We just didn't have that in our policy. We never had, so we just added that statement that they asked us to add. And then on student wellness, we removed the chart because on the chart it had people listed, and some of those people are no longer with us, so we just removed the chart from the entire policy so we wouldn't have to update that every time people move.
Okay. That is the first reading. Are there any questions? Okay, the next item is approved this is the Tennessee School Systems for Equity membership dues for 21-22. And if you would, when you talk about that, explain what that committee does for us.
That is the committee that has fought for our teachers to be able to have equitable salaries across the state of Tennessee. And there's still the small systems lawsuit out there that a lot of school systems are in, and they fight to try to get, salaries equitable across the state. And we've been a member of that for 20-plus years, since it started.
And wasn't this one of the groups that fought for the small schools?
Yes.
Because the big schools were kind of
We're taking all the money.
absorbing things?
Yes, so it's a great group to be with.
Make sure we've got our voices heard.
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a motion on this item?
I move.
Okay.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Long. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Reese has seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. Next item is to approve canopies and installation with Interstate awning and sign for Johnson County Schools. And we're using ESSER funds.
We are, and I'll turn that over to Herbie. He's the one that did the bids on that. But that is just to put awnings at our schools that do not have them. We've talked about that when we presented our ESSER 2 funds.
Yeah, we have a couple of large awnings, one at the middle school in the back, kids on most of us. One at the back of Doe, comes into that back entrance. A small one at Mountain City and Laurel, the one at Laurel at the new entrance. And the one at Mountain City, just a smaller one coming out through there so that when people press the button. We did put this out for bid, and I reached out to a couple of companies. We got one bid back.
Okay.
Are those canvas or aluminum?
Those are aluminum.
Okay, good.
Okay, do we have a motion on this item?
Move with approve canopy.
Okay, we have a
Installation.
motion by Mr. Long. Second?
Yeah, I'll second.
All right. We have a second by Mr. Payne. Any further discussion? All right, if you will, call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. Next item is to approve the installation of UVC lighting in HVAC units in the Johnson County Schools facilities with Safe Air UV.
Again, this is using ESSER 2.0 funds just to put the UVC lighting in our HVAC units to help destroy any pathogens or anything that's out in the air in the classrooms, and it will go in every unit in the buildings.
In one of our earlier surveys, that was one of the main concerns for parents, teachers alike, had something to help clean the air. We looked at ionization units, and we received notification that we probably shouldn't use those, so we looked at the UVC light. Benefits other than killing viruses and such was helping with the mold and bacteria that may build up on your coils. So there's an estimated savings in energy and maintenance and time by using these along with the air. We put these out for bid, only got 2 back that we could actually look at and consider. Safe Air UV came in at $160. They are actually, that was below bid, they are actually TDA partners. So we get back $10 $30 per ton, so we're expecting to get back around $30,000. So they're willing to wait until they get it installed and get the TVA check, and then we just pay the remaining portion, which should be about $130,000, which is what we have budgeted.
Okay, do we have a motion on this item?
Yeah, I make a motion we approve it.
Okay, Mr. Haynes made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Long. Any discussion? Kind of easy when the funds are coming from ESSER.
Yeah.
If you will, call the roll, please.
Mr. Long?
Yes, sorry.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. Next item is to approve a one-year security contract with GSC Security and Electronics in the amount of $11,400.
Yes, and this is just the yearly contract we do, and keeping it with the same person. Herbie has those bids.
Yeah, we did that one out also. We got one back, which is the engineering. That's for the alarm monitoring servicing and the fire marshal inspection that has to be done every year. His price is the same as last year. He does a great job.
Okay. It's not ESSER funds?
No.
All right. Do we have a motion on this item?
I move we approve.
Long's made a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Reese is second. Any discussion? All right, call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
All right, approve a one-year HVAC contract with Streets HVAC in the amount of $86,400.
Again, this is another Herbie one. Same as what we had last year with Streets.
These last couple, they're actually not due for a month or so, but I'll go ahead and get them out of the way early. Streets, we had two bids come in. One was $110,000, Streets was $86,000. Last year, his bid was $100,000. He actually went down 13.6. When asked about his reasoning, in the next round of ESSER, our intentions are to put new units at the hospital. He said that's where most of the issues are. And I told him, I said, that may not be till spring of next year. But he was good with that, so his price dropped 13.6. So that's where we are.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion on this item?
Yeah, I make a motion we approve it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, if you will, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. Next item, approve a one-year propane contract with Freeman Gas in the amount of $1.39 per gallon with no tank lease and a $72 service call.
Again, this is just a yearly propane contract, and I think there was only two
Yeah.
bids that was returned.
I reached out to different companies here around the city and Elizabeth. The only two I got back was one and this one and one more. And this one is 4 cents a gallon cheaper than the other one. And so it's
Is this cheaper than what's on state contract, statewide contract?
I haven't checked state contract. Propane is one of those things you don't actually have to bid out. You bid with your local companies.
No, plus you have the service.
I
of
think
the
we
state.
have that on statewide contract for the school system, yeah.
It may be, that since I've been here, since I've known, it's always been bid out.
Well, the county and the city have this company as well, and this company provides a service versus just propane, right? And they've done well in the past? Okay. We have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion we approve it.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ms. Reese seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
No.
Ms. Reese? Yes. Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. All right, the next item is to look again at the insurance brokerage decision. This was brought up last month, and there was some discussion about continuing this and having the companies come out and the board make the decision. There have been some employees that asked about this decision, and I know some board members were unsure last time as far as what we were doing. You know, if you would, Dr. Long, explain how this decision came about, the recommendation came about.
The recommendation of the committee?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, what's your committee? You had a committee.
Yes.
Okay.
I had a committee of, I think, 17 members, but it was from across the school district. And we set up 3 in-person meetings. We drew numbers out of the hat. And just, that's the order in which I called those companies, and I let them pick their date. It doesn't mean they presented in that order, but they got to pick their date first.
Right.
And so the company that went first, that drew first, was, I don't remember. The order in which they presented though, 5 points presented first, and Mark III presented last. American Fidelity presented in the middle. Then, those were all in person. We had perfect attendance at all of them. They were right here in the boardroom. Then after the third one, just a few days after, because the board meeting was right just a few days later than that, we had a Zoom call with everybody on the committee, and we asked them for their feedback. I got some here and there. Some said they liked this and they liked that. And then I just asked them, I think Ms. Wills came in and helped me. We had a spreadsheet with all 3 companies and every person's name, and we just called out the name of the company. And each committee member said 1, 2, or 3, meaning that was their number 1 ranked company, their number 2, or their number 3. And 5 points had an average score of a 1.58, which is like golf. The lower it would be, the better. The American Fidelity had a 1.82, and Mark III had a 2.58.
So your committee.
I am being impartial here when I tell you Mark III didn't get any first place.
But your committee, the decision was from the committee made up of staff?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, one of the things, you know, that I look at on here is why, other than approving because we have to approve money, why are we second guessing a committee where it's their benefit?
Because it was handpicked, that's why.
17 people?
Yes. It didn't take a rocket science to
You all
figure
right?
that out.
You okay?
Yeah. And I want to know, after so many years, what's gone wrong with this insurance company? When I've had people that's in the school system call me not wanting to change.
Well, I mean, we didn't, you know, when you have a decision like that, you have a committee, and the committee was made up of a variety of people. I don't know that.
And they were all handpicked too.
Did you ask anybody which company they wanted?
Ahead of time?
Yes.
We had no inkling how they would vote. We didn't have people that had said they were disgruntled with the current one. They were hand-picked in the sense that we picked people that we thought would be willing to participate and would be willing to share their opinion. They weren't hand-picked in the sense that we thought they would vote one way or another. We had no idea about that.
Well, and I don't know that there's ever 100% decision. You know, if we make a decision on anything, we're going to, you know, there's going to be some people who are happy and some people who aren't.
I think what you should have done was sent out a vote to all the schools and let each teacher mark down which one they wanted. And then brought it back to the board and let the board look at the names.
Well, what we did was what was recommended a year ago, but it got shut down because of COVID. We just followed that.
No, it was a little over 2 years ago.
No, we were in the process in the last spring.
We were supposed to have some information come in from Sullivan County on this system. We never got it.
I don't call that, and
Well,
We
I
were in
do.
this exact same process when schools shut down. And so we just said, we're not gonna, yeah,
We've had a meeting, we had Thanksgiving.
yeah, we had.
You all were supposed to have consulted, the director was going to consult with the representatives in Sullivan County on the insurances and never brought it back to us.
I don't know what you mean with the insurance company in Sullivan County.
They were in the process of changing over there, if you recall.
They did change their,
Okay.
they changed their broker, but they never had our broker to start with. And they did go with one of the two that was they went with, I think they went with 5 points.
There was something brought up that you were supposed to got some information from them over there and brought back to the board.
Well, but they went with 5 points?
That's who the committee, oh,
Sullivan
Sullivan County,
County?
yes.
Well, I mean, is there, and it's not just teachers, it's staff in general, all the education staff, this insurance?
The committee was teaching.
No, I'm talking about is the insurance for all the staff?
Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Is this a countywide insurance, this Mark III?
This is school system. We don't have any control over what the county does.
Who do they have?
They have Mark III, but that's no control with us.
Okay, who's going to take care of this then if we break off from Mark III? Who's going to take care of looking after this insurance?
Well, it'll be just like it's been in the past.
How? How's it been in the past?
Well, it goes through payroll, and then it goes through central accounting.
Central County, upstairs, right?
Yeah, and Mr. Robinson was in on all three of the
Yeah.
insurance committee.
Mr. Robinson also stated he'd have to have another personnel if he done this.
He's not said that to me.
Well, he did to me. And whose funds is that gonna come out of?
I can't control what the county
Who's gonna pay for
does.
another personnel to handle this?
He's not said to me that we need he needs
Well, he
another
did to me.
personnel.
Did he mention anything, Tina, in budget hearings?
The only thing that he's mentioned in talking about it is he said it would be really tough to have two brokers.
Yes, that's the only thing he said.
When Russell and I were just talking about it, Mr. Robinson, he said that it would be very hard for the county to continue to carry Mark III and us change to 5 points. So, they would have to look at something, either the county changing, or it would put them in a tough spot.
So that's a different issue then. I question, why would we have a committee if we're not going to follow the committee's decision? And maybe Mr. Matheson's right. Maybe instead of asking the committee to come up, send something out to all the staff. But my big concern would be Russell. And,
Yeah, we didn't realize that was gonna be
He has said it will be tough.
And I also was informed that the county mayor said he was not gonna change because his employees wanted to stay with Mark III. The county had had it for so many years and there wasn't no problem. But I was also told that the school system, the problem they're having with Mark III was lack of communication.
That is one of the big issues.
We have not received information from Mark III, especially during COVID. We did not have any assistance.
Well, maybe our end didn't contact them.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case.
Have you got anything to back that up?
We do.
I can go both ways on that.
Yeah.
We do.
I can say this, whatever y'all decide, I'm not here to plead the case one way or another. The idea of sending the presentation out to the entire staff, it's not feasible.
Well,
We can send them out a 1-pager or a 12-pager that they probably would rather not read. But the reason we pick representatives from each school is sort of kind of a representative republic model, sort of like a congressional model or something. We have representatives from each school to try to represent the interests of each school and hear the presentations firsthand.
We had some of those folks here during a work session, and it was like an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not remember.
Yeah, that was before COVID, when
Year
you
or
said
so
make
ago,
an
yeah.
insurance committee.
Yeah, we had two, I think.
Yeah, you did.
You know, my concern would be if it's going to cause finance office difficulties, having two brokers. But just the fact that we've had them for a long time, and then why are we getting rid of them? The same thing we did with propane last year. We had Freeman for a long time, and then we got rid of them and tried another company. So, but that would concern me. And I think as, you know, in my opinion, I trust you. So I believe that you picked a good committee. I believe the communication that you say. We need to,
See how it's gonna affect Russell.
yes.
He did say the main thing to me and Tina was the fact whatever we chose, the county would have to go to. He never did say anything about having to hire anybody additional.
But
He did say whatever we went with, the county would about have to go to.
And he said it might take 6 months to a year to get all the bells and whistles with that in place. He said it wouldn't be an overnight transition. That was the feedback that he gave me. He was on the committee.
But my question is, if you've got to hire another person, whose budget's this gonna come out of?
That's not my question to answer.
That'd be
I
Russell.
don't know. It's a fair question. I'm not debating that. But tonight's the first we've heard
Well,
of that.
somebody needs to find out who has to pay for that extra
My
person.
point is though, Mr. Robinson was on the committee and at all three presentations, I would have thought we would have heard this before now.
I would
That's
have
all I'm
to.
saying.
I would have to.
Did he have a vote in it?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I can't remember how he voted, and I wouldn't say it here anyway. It
Yeah.
would be appropriate.
Well, I know,
But
I'm just saying, I'm
but
just
he
asking if he
have
did.
voted.
Okay.
Well, he told me out of his own mouth, he'd have to have another personnel to handle it.
Well, that's an issue.
And I'm not just counting what you say. It would have been nice to have heard it from him since he was on the committee.
Yeah, before now.
Well,
So
he
is
spoke
this,
it to Tina.
is this a decision that has to be made before the budget hearing? Or is this a decision that can be made at a
I mean,
later date?
is it gonna affect our budget that much?
No, it won't affect our budget.
Won't affect our
This is
budget.
paid for by the employees. These are like cafeteria, umbrella plans. So it's not gonna, it doesn't affect our bottom line in any way. It's just that it is the additional work that flows through Mr. Robinson's office.
Well, I'm glad we put it back on the agenda because this is information that we do need. I mean, you know, to make a decision. And if, I mean, my opinion would be, and everybody expressed theirs, that we need you to go back and talk with Mr. Robinson and with the mayor, county mayor. And if this is going to pose a hardship, that would influence my vote.
Yeah.
I think it would influence everybody, so if this is going to pose a major problem for the county, then that would also affect the decision. And maybe, you know, to Mr. Matheson's point, rather than having committees, and I know, you know, you talk about the presentations, I know they always would come to orientation before and talk to people and hand out handouts. Is maybe we look at, you know, sending something out and getting employee input, if they like their plan or if they don't.
I think they did get into it, like, the way that works is like, the representatives from the school went back and shared, and the principals can attest to that. Like, they would come back and share to the faculty about the main points about that presentation. It's the same process.
That's what I was getting at, I said it was like a congressional model, they were representing.
And then they came back and shared with the faculty.
If we're gonna go with the congressional model, just give them a ballot and let them vote on who they want. That way, it would be sound then.
I mean, it was like a representative model.
Yeah.
We can't bring 150 people to watch 45-minute presentations. And honestly, I'm not pleading the case for 5 points or American Fidelity or Mark III. I'm just defending our process. I stand behind our process.
Well, I trust your process. What would concern me is what happens with the county.
So the one thing that I need to know then, I've got them scheduled for 15-minute apiece Zoom presentations on your work session for next month. Do you want me to cancel those or leave them scheduled? because that's what I was told to do coming out of the last board.
Right.
Let's play for
Unless we get an answer from the county. I mean, I don't know, us
Let's see
hearing
if
that.
they're gonna
would be-
hire
Well,
someone
number
else.
one,
If Mr. Robinson says, I'll have to have somebody else, this is gonna put the county in a pickle, then my assumption would be, you would stay with Mark III, and those presentations would be a moot point. I don't want to have
Exactly.
some people do
Right.
that. No.
That would be
Right.
mine.
well, we're not saying we're gonna stay at Mark III, but what I want to know is, who is going to handle this situation if we have to hire another person? Who's going to be paying that?
But the people giving you the 15-minute presentations from those
They're not
brokerage
gonna know.
firms won't be able to answer that question either. That's my point. Do you want me to leave? I'm happy to leave their schedule. I can leave them scheduled. But if they're pouring a lot of effort into it to try to put their heart and soul into 15 minutes, I'd hate to pull the rug out from under them.
Well, we can
Moving
ask,
forward.
let's ask each board member. My concern is only with the county. If the county says it's not a problem, then mine would be to consider the vote of the board, of the committee. My big concern though is if the county comes back and says, this is gonna cause us a problem, then I'm gonna vote to stay where we're at, because I don't think we can interfere with the county. That's a huge thing to me, so.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Me too.
And, you know, I think Mr. Robinson needs to give us a presentation. He's the one that needs to give us a presentation as to what the problem is and what he would have to do. And, you know, it wasn't discussed in the budget meeting the other night that they had. Didn't say not one word about it.
I wish he would have brought it up to your committee too, if it was a concern.
That's
It's gonna
the
be a
thing.
problem, yeah. I'd say that won't happen.
Mr. Payne?
Yeah, I think we need to find out if, what kind of burden it's gonna be. If we gotta hire another person, I think it's a moot point,
Okay.
the way I feel.
Mr. Matheson?
That's my sentiments also.
Okay. So I think what we're saying is, we do not need your,
Presentation,
no,
correct?
right.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Till-
what
till
we
we find
do
out for
need,
sure.
we do need Mr. Robinson to tell us if this is gonna pose the county a problem. We don't wanna be a problem to the county.
Right. And if it's not, we got the committee to fall back on anyway, so.
Okay. All right, so I'm glad we brought it up, because that's new information, and maybe we can have,
We will meet with Mr.
Yeah.
Robinson Monday.
all right. So budget report, Tina.
Okay, just some quick information, first on your sales tax and property tax collection. If you'll notice, sales tax continues to increase for the county. Last year, for the entire year, it was 1.8 million. This year, we're already at 1.9, we're still short 2 months, so we're up $103,256 without having May and June. So, sales tax is for trend. And then taking a look at the property tax collections, we're also a month short. We don't have our June in yet, but we're also up $23,544 on property tax. Then your big pack of information on page 7, you can see that we are 91.4% of revenue realized. And on the last page, we are 87.03% expended. But I do feel that we're gonna have some carryover.
So do you want to carry over, and we'll go to the addendum, which the first item there is budget. Do you want to talk to us about what went on in the budget?
Sure, that is great. So, we met with the budget committee the other night, we presented our budget. They were fine, we took them a balanced budget. The one thing that they did ask is that if we could move one of our revenue streams, and, we didn't see a problem. I mean, it's not gonna change what we're receiving, basically. They're still meeting, I did the test, we're still meeting maintenance of effort, and, but they're still gonna be meeting maintenance of effort. So they're just asking that we move it. What they did, it's gonna be around 111,000 because they actually gave us growth. So we moved some we put a little bit of growth in, which we put into an insurance line, a couple other lines that just tend to go over. So they just asked that we bring it back to you, see if you all would be willing to just move the revenue stream. There's no difference in dollars, just asking that they move it from property tax to the sales tax side. So an increase on the sales tax side, a decrease on the property tax side.
And this would help the county balance their budget?
It does help them balance their budget, but it didn't decrease what they're actually giving us. Like I said, they did give us 25,000 growth funds, so.
Okay,
But we do have to have approval since we are having to move line items.
all right.
Will that line item disappear, or is it just just moving it?
It just moved, because we already have the property tax line, we already
Yeah.
have the sales tax line.
Just moving it into
Just
it?
moving it shifts a little bit of revenue around, and so it just helps them with their bottom line.
So the comptrollers?
They
Good
should be
with it.
fine.
Okay.
Mr. Stout was in the meeting, Mr. Robinson, they researched it. There was no problem really, and like I said, I did enter the numbers into the state's website, and they did meet the match.
The match, just call.
So
They met.
Just call.
It's okay with the attorney, right?
Mr. Stout,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
But I guess call, just call, make sure that we ain't gonna come back next year and they send us a letter that we done that.
Yeah.
Just to make sure before we do it, but I
It
don't
was
have a
good with
problem.
the maintenance of effort, like I said, Mr. Stout sat in and he explained a little bit about it, and so it was basically moving these dollars from this line to that line. So, and they did ask if we would bring it back on Tuesday. We could bring it to our board, and then just bring it back to them on Tuesday. And they did say that they appreciate you all and they appreciate us working together.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the recommended changes.
Okay, Mr. Long's made a motion, do we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Payne's made a second, any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Does he have to read this again?
Oh, okay.
Okay, we can carry.
Well, so the motion is to approve the 2021-2022 school budget to include all budgets, general purpose school, federal projects, central cafeteria, and Head Start, and to authorize Dr. Simcox and Ms. Lidford to add local revenue estimates, revenues, or reserves, fund balance, final BEP estimate, and pre-K amounts when they become available. All right, so that's the motion.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. All right, next item is to approve epidemiology and laboratory capacity grant in the amount of $542,730.
I can speak just for a second. I realize I'm out of order on the agenda. We just got word that we think Mr. Robinson is still upstairs. You want us to do
No,
something?
we'll do it next month. Unless, well, let me ask the board, do you want,
Well,
He might not be prepared.
you might not be, I hate to-
yeah, I'd like to give him a little notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call him in and cold cock him right here in the board meeting. Okay. Go ahead.
This is a new federal grant that Angie did write for, it's mainly impacting nurses and some things that we can do to help with COVID and quarantining and the pandemic, but she did write this grant, with the help of Wendy, so I'll let her name what all is involved in this grant.
So we went ahead and added the 6 additional nurse positions that we had this past year, was, to help out with the things that we're still dealing with some of the effects of COVID. And so we put that in the budget again. We also, we are going to move the clinic at the high school to a little bigger area, because the clinic was in a super small location here at the high school. So, with that, we are going to be able to actually put a bed there, so, with equipment, we're going to replace some of our outdated nurse equipment, and hopefully replace some of our AEDs, things that we would have to spend anyway, but go ahead and replace those things now while we have those available. And then one of the big things in the grant that is allowable is to resurface parking areas, because that's where we do the testing, the nurses go out and they're they go to the parking lot to the cars to test, so we can actually use some of the funds to resurface parking areas. And so that was $275,000 in there. And it is also in there, it's allowable to offer an incentive for employees to get vaccinated. It's not a lot, but, you know, if they don't get vaccinated, then we're still going to be dealing with the issue of the shortage of subs and things like that if they do get COVID. So that is also, that they are. To them, we would have to make sure that we meet all the requirements and things like that. But those are just the basics of what's in the grant.
So this grant is for our nurses, not the student nurses, not not.
No, not the CNA.
It's nothing for
Not
the
with health
teaching
science.
side of it.
No, it's the nurse's assistant.
Okay.
That we hired last year to help with quarantine.
Okay. Where you moving, where you doing all the moving lab and all that and the paving?
Moving the nurse's equipment from
Yeah.
the nurse's office at the hospital. They are actually going to move here in 11 to the library circle to some of the offices there, like the machine room is, and they're going to take her office at the, in near the library
Yeah.
circle. That's a pretty good sized space right there, and because it's my understanding that kids was really, they had a hard time getting kids in and out, and that there was a lot, sometimes 2 or 3 kids waiting to get in. It was very congested. So
Okay.
Are these nurses gonna be full-time this coming year, or?
they will be full-time for 1 year, and they'll have benefits and all that's
Okay.
included. And they know that it is a 1-year
Okay.
position.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. Next one is approve installation of lights for the Paul H. Mcewen Football Stadium with Reynolds Electrical Contractors LLC in the amount of $39,800.
And if you remember, we have talked about this before, and Stephen got the bids out, and it actually came in a lot lower than what he had anticipated. Dr. Long?
Yeah, you can see we had 2 bids there. They're not close. And then on top of that, the high one, they couldn't do the installation prior to football season. So we would actually store the equipment that they did install it afterwards.
So this gets it done before football season?
Pardon?
This will get it done before football season?
That was in the specs. So
Okay.
that's supposed to be the deal, yes. We had figured $150,000 total for everything. So this is something in the 130s. And it's all in we must go and the installation.
So these folks have done it.
Both bidders have worked extensively with Musco and with stadiums. With this lower outfit, they're out of Dixon, Tennessee. They've called a couple of times, asked some really good questions. Actually came here yesterday morning, met our electrician at the field, looked things over, revised their bid down by a couple $1,000, and turned it in my hand. Sealed. They're low bid. I would recommend them.
Okay, do we have a motion on this?
Yeah,
They
make
do
a,
have the new high school in Sullivan County, the new consolidated high school. This is who's doing it.
Move we approve.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Long. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And a second by Mr. Payne. Any discussion on this item? And how are we paying for that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you didn't, I don't know if you said, did you say this is ESSER funds?
GP.
GP. Okay.
Been replaced.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Call the roll.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. Payne?
Yes.
Mr. Carlton?
Yes. All right. Director's report.
You do have your board meeting schedule in your packet. We did have to change 2 from our normal Thursdays. One was because of TSBA, and then I think one was because of fall break. So we moved those 2, because when our November one is, we'll be at TSBA. Summer Law Institute, you have your information on that. We will have our tenure/retiree reception on July the 8th at 5:15 in the conference room. We'd like to honor, we've already honored our tenure folks, so we probably won't have them there, but we will honor our retirees that we will have for the year. Just a summer school update. Summer school has went great this week. We've had approximately 270 students. Our staff, our teachers, our bus drivers have done phenomenal jobs, so we just want to thank them. We are going to be submitting, Chase has probably already sent it out, an ESSER 3.0 survey. We do have to get input of stakeholders, our students, our parents, board members, elected officials, business leaders, any type of stakeholder on just priorities with our ESSER 3.0. So Chase, we worked on that this evening, and Chase has sent that out. So when you see that email, if you'll please just go in and do the survey, we would appreciate it. That's all I have.
All right, Mr. Matheson?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Adams and Mr. Long about the status on the architect meeting with Mr. Stansbury.
For
Yeah.
no school.
We went and spoke with him, and at first, and I don't want to say too much about it, at first, we didn't feel like it was going to go well, but the longer that we talked, he didn't say no. Opposed to as soon as the hay gets cut off the field, it's ready to dry up. We're supposed to get the architect out there and walk. We have his permission to get out there and walk and see exactly how much we would need, and then come back.
Mr. James said just whenever that happens.
You're talking about coming back to Mr. Stansbury with the,
Yeah. He was, after we talked to him a while, he didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. He was open to that.
yeah,
Once he realized that we weren't trying to put a road right down the middle of it.
yeah.
We were just trying to slice the corners.
Is he wanting to meet with the architect also on this?
Probably will, he probably will after we walk in the architect, get something drawn up.
Okay.
And they calculate some acreage.
Okay.
And that, the benefit of that one is that you'd have a roundabout that goes out a different road than the coming in one, right?
Hopefully.
It would benefit
What's that
ingress
principal's
and
name
egress,
down
but
there?
also benefit
What's that principal's name down there?
difficult situations.
Right. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Matheson?
No, that's all I have.
Mr. Payne? Glad to have you back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. You wouldn't know. I just want to thank everyone for all the calls and the emails and texts I got. You can tell I'm feeling quite a bit better. So it's good to be back here. And I want to thank all you guys for all your hard work. It's been a rough couple of years for you and Dawn. I appreciate it. That's all I got.
He got an injection of Kennedy blood up there.
No,
He's up there.
Agree?
No, I didn't.
Well, I just want to thank everybody for everything that you do.
Mr. Long?
This one, I didn't give that one to
I
you.
went down, had a meeting with Tsba. Everybody will get one of these. It's the new laws that they enacted this year. There's a couple that's going to benefit us and impact us some. Everybody will get one of those. It worked out pretty good. And the only other thing is just an update on Tennessee. TSBA has dropped out of the National School Boards Association. They were just way left of everything that Tennessee thought. So we're just going to drop out, not paying dues, move on and go regional, hopefully.
All right, I appreciate everything everyone's done. Just have a good summer, and we'll see you next month. Meeting,
I make a motion that we adjourn.
meeting's adjourned.
Me, it's